Hello there, everyone. I hope all of you have been enjoying your day today, that you're having a great evening. Um, this evening, I honestly just felt like using some Loquats, and so we already talked about Loquat jam, so I'll give you another recipe for some Loquat cobbler. Anyway, so first, similar to making jam, what you need to do is cut up the loquats. So this is a loquat. It's a small orangish yellow fruit from Southeast Asia. It tastes kind of similar to apricots. Anyway, to cut this, basically you have to cut off this brown flower stem part. So just go ahead and cut that off. And then you have to cut the loquat in half. There you go. And so you can see there's a bunch of large brown seeds in the middle. So I'm going to go over here to my compost bin, get rid of those. So now we have 2 loquat halves. Just going to plop that in there. And I'll just repeat it one more time just so that you can see it again. Again, cut off the flower stem, cut off the half, plop out the seeds, and put it in your little grinding machine. So there we go. Gonna cap it, blend up the loquats. There we go. Blended it up so it's nice and soupy. And then I'm just going to dump it into this pot I have going. Note that this recipe called for 8 cups of loquats, which was perfect. I picked just about that much from our loquat tree. So there we go. There's 8 cups of loquats. Yeah. All right. Next, basically, as this is cooking, it'll thicken up a little bit, but basically to help with that, you need to add a cup of sugar and then 1/4 cup of tapioca starch or cornstarch. I like using tapioca starch more. So there we go. We'll basically sprinkle in the sugar, kind of stir it in. Note too that you're gonna want to obviously turn on your stove. Put it on like low. I have it on 3 right now. And then once it gets up to kind of a boiling temperature, then you'll want to bring it back down to simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. So there we go. Just sprinkle in the sugar, stir it in. And then as this will basically be like the juicy part of your cobbler. As that's cooking though, you can make up the cobbler topping that pretty much consists of just dough, flour, butter, sugar, and spices, and then we'll combine that all up together, put it on top, and then bake it in the oven. So I'm just kind of finishing up putting in the sugar into the cobbler. Then I have a little bit of a small little tester just so that you can see the finished product, and that's in the oven right now. So I'll need to check up on that actually. So I'm just going to let this heat up. And as I do that, I'm going to check on our finished product. That's right. I put the onions up here. Oh yeah, onions are taken out. So it'll end up looking something like that. Let that cool right there. Alrighty. So, I'm gonna let this heat up some more. While we're waiting for that, let's make the dough part. So I already measured out a cup of flour right here. So that's 1 cup of flour. I also want to add a cup of brown sugar. There you go. It's kind of chunky. A 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And 7 tablespoons of butter, lots of butter. I chopped it into little cubes. Basically, that's going to give the dough some texture. Just a little bit of texture. I've got it. And there we go, just a little bit of texture. And basically, the texture will just help it kind of rise and get sort of like a fluffy consistency. So, I'm just going to break up my little butter cubes. And I'll break it up a little bit and then slowly just mix in the butter cubes with the sugar and flour. And you'll basically want to mix it in until you get kind of a coarse consistency. So I had it before. I'm just going to grab a fork to mix it. So obviously we're going to start out where it's not very chunky, since we're mostly just have flour in here right now. But as we add more butter, it'll get kind of chunkier. Ideally, you'll want to take out the butter right out of the fridge and then immediately cut it up. This butter's kind of a little bit soft just because it was sitting out here for a few minutes. So, yep, just squeezing the butter cubes out. And then you'll want to keep your eye on this guy too. So just give it a little bit of a stir. And continue with butter cubes. Then you'll just want to keep mixing it in. And you'll want to, as you're mixing, try to keep the cubes separate from each other. congealing on each other. I realized too that we need to add our spices. So, basically, I just kind of like adding cinnamon to taste. The recipe calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon, but I really like cinnamon. There we go. The recipe also calls for 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So this is all natural vanilla extract, but you can certainly use like just vanillin if you'd like. But I prefer using more natural stuff. 1/4 of a teaspoon is honestly about what's in this little cap here, so just fill the cap up to the top, sprinkle it around. There we go, that's my vanilla. Then I like nutmeg as well, so a little bit of a sprinkle of nutmeg. Yep, those are our spices. Gonna mix that in. Awesome. More butter cubes. Butter. Can never have too much butter. Looks like our tester is cooling down a little bit too. As you can see, basically the crust is just going to form a nice layer on top, and it'll allow for a good crumbly texture when it's finished baking. And I already have the oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically, once I'm done with this and mixing it up, then I'll put it in the oven, let it sit until the crust turns golden brown, which is like 20-30 minutes, and then pull it out. This is going to make a much larger serving, though, than what you see there. Basically, on the far left, I have a glass pan that's waiting to be used. So that will fit the full 8 cups of Loquats when the time comes. Alright, that was all of my butter, so I'll give it a bit of a mix. I'll honestly probably have to knead it a little bit just to break up the butter some more and really allow it to stick onto the flour. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just breaking up the butter cubes some more. Then I'm just gonna run my hands through it, break up the butter cubes as I'm doing that, and then, yeah, as I break up the butter cubes, I'm just gonna spread the flour around, kind of coat the butter in the flour, break up some of the larger butter cubes. There we go. And then, let's see. I'll also need to add the tapioca starch to the Cobbler, the Loquats over there that's going to form our filling. And I'll also add a little bit of lemon juice at that time too, which will give it, balance out the sweetness a little bit with some acidity. As you can see, it takes some time to break up the butter clumps. I don't really have an automatic pastry mixer or anything like that, so you're in with me for the long haul. That's okay. That's what preparation is for. So as you can see, it's becoming less clumpy, more coagulated, which is kind of more the texture that we're looking for. There we go. As I'm doing this, I hope you're dreaming of butter and sugar. Yum, yummy, yum. Alrighty, that's good enough. So pretty much as you can see, it's kind of clumpy now. So I'll leave that, and looks like this kind of needs to be heated up a little bit more. Oh no. Ooh. Juicy, lovely, and juicy. Alright. So now I'll basically just sprinkle some tapioca starch. Just like how we added the sugar. And I'm just gonna fold it in. Just mix it, add it. Try not to spill some. It's a pretty full pot. Go. As you can see, the tapioca starch definitely helps it thicken up a lot. Just good. We'll let that cook for some more time. And meanwhile, let's see, that, yes, the lemon's hidden back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some lemon to this too. There we go. Basically just squeezing out the lemon. Then I'll go ahead and mix it in. Since it's 8 cups of loquats, I'm going to want to add the full lemon. There we go. Clumsy at night, you know? There we go. Finish squeezing that out. Into compost it goes. All right. Now, just like everything, I'll want to stir that in. Just kind of allow the lemon juice to homogenize in there. All right, and I'll let that sit for a few more minutes while I continue to knead this a little bit more. Nice. All right, now that it's boiling, just gonna turn it down to low. Thank you. So nice. Yeah. Mix that a little bit more. All right. So now that that's been cooking for quite some time now, generally you'll just want to let this cook for like 15 to 20 minutes. And now that the filling's been cooking for quite a while, we should be able to just add it in. To our pan. And since this is a cobbler, we don't really make pie crust around it. We basically, all we need to do is just pour it in. So, shift some things around. Actually, just go ahead, pour this right in. Ooh. Quite a sound. There we go. That's 8 cups of loquats. Now we'll add in, sprinkle on our pastry dough. I'll give it a little bit more of a crumbling. And I'll go ahead and just sprinkle it on. Yeah. get it nice and textured. Here we go. Spread it out a little bit, and then just as a thing that I like to add on top, just add a little bit of oats. There we go, adding the oats. Just gives it like a kind of a nice sort of crunch. All right. Now that we've done that, we can just go ahead and put it right into the oven. The oven right now is at 400 degrees Celsius, or Fahrenheit. Always sure to wear your nice oven mitts. There we go. And right in it goes. So we'll let that sit for about 30 minutes. But here's our finished product. Now I'm just gonna go enjoy that. In fact, let's even cut it open and show you what it looks like. There we go, you can cut it open. Butter is fine with me. There we go. Crusty on the top, gooey in the middle. Yep, crusty on top, gooey in the middle. There we go. So now it's complete. Tastes pretty good. Awesome. Well, have a good night, everyone, and enjoy your Loquat cobbler.